And the big thing about this is your identity as a member of an online community. Now, online community is something which I could talk to from now to the end of time, but it is the fact that the reason YouTube is so successful is the fact that it's not just a website where you upload videos, it's where people can communicate and people can get their ideas together, and there is something that's sort of filling in the gaps between these individual videos. So in terms of education, it'd be bridging the gap between teachers and students, which tends to happen a lot in lectures. I did one talking about this to some students, and at the end I said, are there any questions? And it might happen here, but there weren't any questions because there was this intimidation, the fact that I was stood at the front and they were at the back. So if you give them this forum where they can upload videos, which can be informal or formal, which is a key thing that's been said by the lectures so far today, it gives a much better opportunity for discussion of these ideas. Confidence, I won't speak too much on this because this is quite obvious, and it's the fact that when you are speaking, it helps you with your clarity, etc. Academic autonomy, developing ownership and driving your own education. It's just finding what you're passionate in and being able to use your passion on a wide aspect. Something that I used to do, I may discuss with my friends, I'm now able to do it with thousands of people across the internet, and I think that's incredible. Now, of course, YouTube is online, and in an education system it'd be more monitored, but that doesn't mean that expression is more free than if it was done in a classroom basis. Team working is the fact that I did a video on closing the generation gap, because there's a lot of negative media about the young and the old being so at each other, but in fact we can work in harmony. And it's team working. Together we bring our ideas, which I've stressed already, and we can come to solutions, not as teachers and students, but together as an education entity. And finally, value systems, the fact knowing who you are, and discovering who you are and what you have to offer, because education is a process in learning tools and then being able to use them in the outside world. Now, do you want to sum up this exercise now? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's stop like that.
Okay, we've got two things for you to do here. Questions direct to Myles, and also you've got a green sheet. If you don't feel confident enough shouting across here, we'd be really interested, does this resonate with you? Is there anything here that you'd like to explore further in your educational professional context? But really, the floor's open for questions to Myles.
Yes. Do you want to hold that again? Sorry.
Okay, I have a question for Myles. I actually work in the Learning Technology Development Unit with Andy, but I'm interested in the employability skill development. This is looking at your skill development, your personal skill development, and it's obviously been very effective. If you have people's blog entries, whatever, on like a jobs and careers homepage, how effective is it, do you think, for employability skill development for a passive viewer?
So you mean from someone who's just watching videos?
Yeah, so somebody who's not actually participating.
Well, I think the opportunity that I want to stress is the fact that anyone can do this. There is a starting point and you will develop. But I mean, even if you watch, a lot of people have watched my videos, and the fact, as I said, the way I started was I saw someone doing it and I thought I could do that. Everyone wants a voice. And I think it is that escalation of wanting a voice and then, joining a community in which you can build on these skills. Yeah. Is there?
Okay. I suppose, to be honest, I'm sort of looking on an ongoing basis as to how to improve the interaction.
Sure.
So how important do you think the ability to actually comment on, so actually starting an online discussion in relation to follow up on it?
I just think it's about breaking the barrier between students and teachers, and the fact is that it's because it's a much more free-flowing form of information that you'd be able to get to answers. I mean, with what I do, there's not much structure to it, but in an education system where you've got an enclosed community and you're able to set goals, so someone posts a video up. One video I did on here was called 10-second exposure, and it was where I said everyone in the world has things they want to say, so if you had 10 seconds, what would you like to say? And it had over 250 video responses, and it's because everyone wants to be involved. And I think that in a lecture sort of environment, people are as individual entities, and people aren't sure is what I want to ask what everyone else is thinking, and it's that kind of nervousness, I think, which hinders people. So by putting it on an open platform, I think it gives people much more of an equal opportunity.
Okay, thanks very much. Hi. Been to a lot of conferences in my time, and I have to say this is probably one of the most important sessions that I've heard, I think. Ostensibly because I think that so much of education ought to be, for me, education is a political, what's the word? It's kind of a political event, really, and it ought to be about upskilling our students or working with our students to engage. There are a couple of things that you said about trusting others and about engaging with other people out there in the world. And I think it's about students becoming actors in the world and learning to take decisions and to take responsibility for their own actions. I think you've kind of represented a way in which we can work beyond the institution. And a couple of times you've mentioned about feeling kind of, or a sense that you're almost in, I mean, maybe you didn't mean it, but you mentioned the word enclosed within kind of institutional educational boundaries. And I think one of the wonders of this kind of Web 2 world are not necessarily the tools, but the kind of affordances, things like the fact that we can associate with huge networks of other people that aren't just people we're forced to interact with within a group online. So I'm kind of wondering whether, I just think there are such huge implications for the ways in which for our pedagogies, for the ways in which we define curricula, for the ways in which we enable students to work with staff on particular bits of content. And I guess that's my rant, really. But I guess the question is, are there things that you have learned through this process by working with others out there in the wider world, not necessarily within kind of your university experience, that have made you a better student when you're actually grappling with assignments and the ways in which your staff want you to engage? Are there things you have learned about yourself that have enhanced the work you've done?
Yeah, definitely. There was a video I did actually the other week about this, which was about are you open-minded? And it's the fact that over the 2 years, I'm not someone who has my own belief system, and then it's that versus everyone else's belief systems. It's about being open-minded. And a lot of people get confused with open-mindedness, thinking that when you discuss ideas, if you disagree with someone, that means you're not open-minded, which it's not at all. It's the ability to evaluate and then agree or disagree, but keeping open-minded that these are other people with different belief systems, which you do need to work with in a community. And I think it's helped me be much more open-minded towards other people's ideas, and it means I care for a lot more. Well, I still care for people, but it means that I open my ears to a lot more people in that sense.